Farming, this is Jaden's Videos, and this is Nightmare House 2018 Hellish Awakening Haunt Build Day 5. Now, the reason I am filming in this daytime this time is because, like in the last haunt build, I said I was going to be filming periodically as stuff is done throughout the day, so that's what I'm doing right now. And so, there was actually stuff done yesterday, but I decided to just wait until today to show that stuff, and of course, so that's how I'm going to start this off, is by showing that stuff, and then I'm going to show the stuff that's done today as it's done today. First things first, I will show this later on in the build today. This light bulb was put in, this orange light bulb, which is going to be the lighting source for this scene. It is bright enough to light up all of the ghost town scene, so it is perfect, and it is shining on the sign. It is orange. I know it looks red, but it is orange, and I tested it out at night last night. It looks really cool. The whole porch was cleaned off. This is, of course, not going here because she's a witch. She'll go in the summoning, but so she's just here for now. She's not going to actually go here in the haunt, though. Of course, all this stuff will be covered up, but the porch was cleaned off yesterday, so that's good, because that's more progress, because the porch obviously needed to be cleaned off because there was a lot of stuff on here. I got these the other day for Ghost Town. These are cacti, so let me just show you. Got these at a yard sale for $4 each, I believe, and I got 4, so there's those. They're really cool. They're small. They had an 8-foot one that I think they were going to sell for like only $12, but the guy at the yard sale couldn't get to it because it was back behind stuff, so I just got these ones, these small ones, for $4. There goes my ringtone. That is Avery. But there they are. So let me move down here. There's more stuff to show. I already showed him the Christmas tree right here. This Christmas tree my grandma got at a yard sale for Scary Christmas Holiday of Hell, which is of course one of the hell themes, because of course you guys know it's a hell themed haunt. Majority of the rooms are hell themed. Scary Christmas Holiday of Hell is one that I'm considering a hell theme because it's like a satanic Christmas. So it's gonna be a lot similar to Scary Christmas, the original one, but it's gonna have demons in it, a few demons in it, so it will make it one of the hell rooms. But this started spray painting it black. It looks like more of it needs to be done, but started spray painting it black. So as you can see, that's good. Over here I got this chair at a yard sale. This I'm going to use as the electric chair. Of course, it doesn't really look like much right now, but that's because it needs to be built. This stuff is going to be on there for the electric chair. Like I said, not much right now, but that's because it needs to be built. That's the lighthouse from last year. Probably going to put something else on there and make it into a completely new thing. That slide was moved. A lot of the yard was cleaned up, so that's good. And I gotta show you guys this. I'm not doing Unearthed anymore. Oh yeah, I think I already mentioned that in my last one. I actually haven't uploaded my last one yet, on the point that you guys are watching this. I haven't uploaded the last one yet, but I'm gonna be uploading it before I upload this one. But by the point that I am filming this, I have not uploaded it yet. But of course, by the point this is uploaded, that will be uploaded. The Great Kawaka was put in his throne. This is obviously not how he's gonna go. My mom just put him here temporarily. He's gonna need to be fixed up a little bit. And that is not his head either. I have no idea why my mom put that there, but it's a creepy looking head, but that is not the Great Kawaka's head. I already showed you guys the lights. Looks like that Rabid Zoo sign fell. I'm gonna need to fix that. I already showed you guys all these poles. This pole is new. This is the exit to Creepy Carnival Circus of Chaos. And then Sacrificial Dungeon, I think I already said, is here, so it will go this way. And this is Sacrificial Dungeon. It's a long narrow path right here, and then that narrow path goes to here, which it then turns into a wide area where the pit and the pendulum area will be of that room. And things have changed. Instead of going this way, going over to here, as you can see, it wrapped around some more. So now the entrance to Island of the Headhunters is straight in front of it. And so it goes like this, and then Island of the Headhunters goes like this, and then it does a sharp turn right here, which turns into the afterlife. Originally I had a zigzag pattern, but that changed. Now this is the afterlife right here. This right here is the afterlife, this hallway is. That turns into Passage of the Damned, so the Passage of the Damned isn't right there. Instead, the walls that support the torture chamber, which are right there, also support the walls for Passage of the Damned. And so this is the Passage of the Damned walls. Passage of the Damned is going to go to about right there. And then Devil's Throne is going to be right here. All the other layout has stayed the same. Just change that a little bit because it makes a lot of the spaces more open. It makes less work, and it makes not that whole ziggity zag pattern in front of the shed, which was going to be a hassle. So let me get to a few other things that I got for the haunt, which I want to show you guys. I got some cardboard boxes. I don't know what I'm using them for yet, but I got them. So don't know what I'm using them for. Some more spray paint. This hay bale. Got a hay bale for... It's not Dark Harvest the barn anymore. It's actually just the Dark Harvest, because I'm not going to build the barn, because that's a lot of extra work. So it's just going to be the Dark Harvest. It's just going to be a normal farm, not the actual barn. Got some corn stalks, some more boxes just for stuff. I don't know what for yet. This chest that my neighbor threw out. These my neighbor threw out too. These are great for the diner. They're bar stools. Stuff in here, it's a black garland, so that would be cool for Scary Christmas Holiday of Hell. My grandma actually picked these up at a yard sale. She got 4 hanging flame lights for $20, which is great because I needed a lot of hanging flame lights since the haunt is a hell theme. Hanging flame lights are needed in a hell theme. This doll I got for $3 at a yard sale. This is going to go in Scary Christmas Holiday of Hell as like a creepy toy. This is going to go in Creepy Carnival Circus of Chaos, of course. I forget how much this was, but it's a creepy clown. Some Christmas ornaments down there. This open sign for the diner. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not, but my grandma brought it over. Got a bunch of scene setters in here and stuff that my grandma got for really cheap price at a yard sale she passed by. That mirror I wanted to get for Creepy Carnival Circus of Chaos. It's just a mirror, but I thought it looked great for the carnival. It just looks like a carnival type mirror just because of the design on it. I'm obviously going to put some multicolored lights around it to make it look more like a carnival mirror. So it's not done yet. I got to do that. Alright, let's see what else we got. I got this table. Okay, I need to show you guys this table. This is pretty awesome. This is one of the diner tables. There's going to be 2 because it's going to take up this whole porch. So this is one of the diner tables. So let me just show you guys what it looks like. Yeah, it was originally a fake wood table, but put this on it, this diner tabletop sticky thing on it the other day, and it looks awesome. It does. I love it. It looks like a diner table. Oh, it's gonna fall, and it's heavy. And I got a red spotlight over there. I got some more things inside, but I don't really need to show them. Got a red spotlight right there. For the guy at the yard sale that I went to, he just gave it to me for free just because it's a little spotlight, and he knew that we were doing the haunt, and spotlights are useful. So he just gave us that for free, which is good. So that's pretty much all I needed to show right now. Well, I want to show you guys the poles that were done yesterday. That pole I said was done. I believe this pole was done. This pole. That one was already there. I don't know if that one's going to stay there or not. I think it will. This pole, and this pole's actually rotted away, if you can tell. It is rotting away. But I actually mentioned it to my dad because he said that we were going to use it anyways, and I said, it's rotted away, it's going to fall apart. But it's actually pretty sturdy. It's sturdy in the ground. The only part that's rotting away is the top. And Halloween is next week, so I think it's going to be fine until Halloween. Because it's not going to come out of the ground because the rotted part is not at the bottom. It's pretty sturdy in the ground, so I think it's going to be fine. Anyways, that is everything for now. And I think we're actually going to start using bamboo as some of the poles, because we are running out of poles because termites were eating away at the other poles because they're always left outside, like over here. A lot of the poles were eaten away by termites. And so we are going to need to use bamboo as some of the poles, which I think will work out perfectly fine because there's tons of bamboo that have fallen off that tree. And so, and bamboo is very sturdy and just as tall if you cut it right. So, yeah, we are using bamboo for some poles because it's a good way to save money. I mean, they're literally the same thing as the poles. These are, of course, just store-bought wood. That's just actual wood. That it's not store-bought, so it does the same job. It's just a good way to save money and not have to go and get a bunch of poles that we need because of all the others rotting away. I actually want to show you guys this before I stop for this video so I don't have to explain it later. I just want to get a lot of the explaining out of the way done now, so later when we're building I can just show you what's built and I don't have to explain so much. This whole area is done for poles. Of course walls need to be put up and then props and everything, so it's not done. But this whole section over here is done with poles being put up. So is this. All that needs to be done, and so is that. All that needs to be done pole-wise are the poles here, poles over there, and that's not very much because there's only going to be poles down the middle there because there's so many trees there that those trees act as the back wall for that part. So just pole there, and then those poles are already there from last year, so that's good. And then a pole there, and then walls can start being put up. Walls in the diner, and these 3 rooms are probably going to be put up first. Or, well, I don't know. Those might be put up second. I don't know. I think we're going to get done the walls over in that area first, and then move our way over here. I don't know yet. And then the inside will be done and stuff. But I'm so happy that poles are almost done, because poles, let me tell you, poles are the most boring and tedious part of building an outdoor haunt. If you build an outdoor haunt, I'm sure you know, because I'm sure that you use, it may not be wooden poles, but everyone has to use a support structure for the walls. They're the most boring part. And though they are one of the most important parts of building the haunt, it doesn't feel like you're getting any progress done because they're just these skinny poles. When you put up the walls, it actually feels like you're getting stuff done, and though you are getting a lot done when you're putting poles in, it just doesn't feel like it. And it's so boring because you just dig these 6 feet long holes, put a pole in, then you do it over and over and over again. At least with walls actually only take a few minutes each, and when you get walls up, you can finally get to see the whole path, and you can finally get to decorate the scenes themselves, because you can see where the path starts, where it stops. With poles, they're just so boring, and they're such hard work digging those deep holes just to put in a pole and then do it over and over again. So I'm so relieved that poles are almost done, because that is the worst part of doing the haunt. It is still fun because it's still building the haunt and it still gets me excited, but by the time we're done with the poles, I'm always so relieved because we can finally get to the walls, and then once you get the walls done, you can finally start putting more props in and finally actually get to the fun part of decorating the haunt. And so, yeah, poles are almost done, which I'm so relieved about. I've already said that a million times, but I can't stress it enough how relieved I am that poles are almost done. So anyways, you guys will see more stuff being done as this video progresses. I know these poles are going to get done today, and hopefully those poles. Hopefully most of the poles will get done today. I don't know if all of them will get done today, and the reason why is because they could all get done today if that's all we did today, but I want to at least start walls today. Even before all the poles are done, I want to start the walls just so we can get a start on them. Because like I said, once the walls are up, I can start decorating the scenes a little bit better and putting the props out there a little bit more, because I can see the clear path. When the walls aren't up, I can't really do that as much. And so I want to start getting walls up today so I can actually start making more scene decorating process. Because of course the most important part of the haunt is the scenery and the props, mainly the props, but also the scenery, the background scenery. The walls are very important too, so are the every single thing that you see getting done. Without doing one of these steps, the haunt wouldn't work. And so every single one of these steps is important, but of course one of the most important parts is the props, because without props you're not going to have a haunt. And I'm not only talking about animatronic props, I'm talking about static props too. I'm talking about any props, even just these little pumpkins I'm talking about, just like these types of things. Without props you can't have a haunt, because there's no point. You can't just have actors in a haunt, because honestly, from my personal experience, I think haunts with props are scarier than haunts with actors. And the reason why is because actors give you a jump scare, and though that is fun, The scariest haunts are the ones with the props, because some of the props can just be downright terrifying looking, where it just gives you an uneasy feeling. Though it is not a jump scare, it is a scary psychological feeling. I always find props much scarier than actors. Of course, I'm still going to have tons of actors, because every haunt needs actors. But personally, I think the props are actually scarier than the actors, just because some props just seem so lifelike, but you know that they aren't, so it's kind of an unsettling feeling, especially with animatronics. So that's just a little thing I've kind of figured out through the years. And really, yeah, of course I'm going to have a lot of actors too, but props are incomplete without props. So, anyways, I'll end this part here, because this is going to be long. It's probably going to be like 30 minutes long, because I've still got to get to the building parts. This was only the explaining part, and it's been 15 minutes. I'll try to make the rest not as long, but yeah, we'll find out. So, anyways, just going to stop it here, and you guys will see what happens next when it cuts to it in just a moment. So, it's nighttime. I know you guys are probably wondering, why is nighttime when I said I would do it periodically throughout when we did stuff. But really, we got some important stuff done today, but we didn't do much, because we didn't start until the sun was going down. So tomorrow it's going to be a lot more, and a lot more of it's going to be done during the day. But yeah, that's why it's nighttime. So when stuff's actually done during the day, I will film it during the day as it's done. But it was all done at nighttime, so I thought, why not just wait till the end? But anyways, I'm going to show you the first thing I did first. Just because that's all the way back here, and I don't need to go all the way back here after I show off all of that, so I'm just going to show this first. I put a pole in over here, over at the Dark Harvest area. This is a rotted pole, but it should last, just like the other rotted pole. So I put this pole in. So only one pole was done today, but walls were done, so not all walls, of course, only a few. But still, it's important to get some walls done. So we got a few walls done, which makes me really happy. This wall, which is for the torture chamber and Ghost Town. So as you can see, it's on this side for the torture chamber, and then this side is Ghost Town. So good, we got that wall done. This huge wall for the torture chamber and for quite a few scenes over here, for the afterlife, passage of the damned, and the devil's throne. So yeah, that covers quite a few over here, and it covers all of this for the torture chamber. Remember, there's going to be scene setters, so these words won't be shown. I'm going to have the dungeon, the stone wall scene setter in the torture chamber to make it look like a dungeon torture chamber that the Army of Fear kills people in. This right here is another wall. This is the Unholy Cathedral wall and the Sacrificial Dungeon wall. Of course, Unholy Cathedral's on that side, Sacrificial Dungeon is on this side. So let me just show you this wall. Very long. Like I mentioned earlier, I love getting walls done. It definitely makes it easier to set things up when the walls are up. So only 3 walls were done, but still pretty good. Pretty good progress, even if it was only 3 walls. Now I'll show you, I guess I'll show you this guy first. This thing is creepy. This is one of the creepiest, if not the creepiest prop I've ever made in my life. This is terrifying, this monstrosity right here. This is going to go in Yolders Mental Correction Association as an inmate, if you can't already tell. Of course, there's straps around it. This is just like a butcher costume, but all I had to do was put straps around it, and it looks more like a straitjacket, a bloody straitjacket. The legs are not covered yet, and I don't know if I'm going to cover them, because in the dark, no one's even going to look down at the legs. People are going to be looking up at it. Also, I think having the legs like that, even though you can clearly tell it's poles, and when there's this big work light shining on it, in the dark, because that's going to be a very dark scene, not very many lights in that one, it will look more like just, that was a loud cat fight. It'll look more like this is just a very skinny, unhealthy inmate. Because of course at Yolders, they're not going to be taking care of their inmates very well. And so, I like that effect. Of course right now you can tell it's PVC. But I think in the darkness, it will definitely look like just an underfed asylum inmate. So you've got that. I made the whole body out of PVC. Very easy. Took like 10 minutes to make the body itself. Well, actually, to make the body itself, to figure out how it was going to go and get everything in place, it took 10 minutes. But then I had to replace some poles because some were long enough, weren't long enough, some were too long, until I finally got it the way that I wanted it. And originally, it was going to have one of its arms like in its hair, like it's kind of like ripping out its hair or whatever. But I decided, like, that's not what... I decided to make it so it's not like it broke free of the restraints, it's still in the restraints. Like, just like, I'm going to have it like in a corner. Like it's just in a corner or something. I might have it leaned over a little bit. But that hair, a wig that my grandma brought over a few days ago. Glad that she brought it over because I was able to do this for it. The face that is a prop I made before. Oh, I made it years ago. That was Ezra from the Haunted Mansion. It wasn't even made for a haunt. It was just made for my bedroom just because I wanted it. And then I tore it apart shortly after making it because I realized I didn't really want it because, I mean, it wasn't really any use. It wasn't for the haunt or anything. So, yeah, it had a skeleton mask on it to make it look like Ezra, but I tore that off. It's still got some of his hair on the sides there. Tore that off, and under the mask is just this. It is horrifying looking. I know it doesn't look professional. I know it doesn't look like a real inmate. It doesn't look like a real person. But I like that. That is why this prop is so creepy. Because if it looks like a real person, sure, it would still be creepy. But it would not be this creepy. I think just this blank stare that makes it look so unrealistic is what makes it creepy. The unrealism of it is the creepy part about it. It's just terrifying with those beady black eyes and then that nose. It just looks terrifying. Especially with that hair on it. I don't know. It just looks really creepy. And I want to keep it that way. Because this is honestly the creepiest prop I've ever made. Not the best prop I have ever made, of course. That still goes to Big Green. If you guys remember in 2016, the giant man-eating plant I made. That's still my favorite prop I ever made. But this is probably the creepiest one I've ever made. And I cannot wait to get it in the asylum with a black light on it, so it glows under the black light. Oh, it's going to look so cool. This is so creepy. The face is just terrifying. It looks so old. It looks like the head of a mannequin from like a store in the early 1900s, like the 1920s or something, after it's left to rot for a while. That's what it looks like, and though it is supposed to be a real person, I just think it's a lot more uncanny when it's like this, because it's like, is that a real person? What in the world is that? Like, you can tell it's an inmate because of the restraints and stuff, and the fact that it's going to be in an asylum. People will know it's an inmate, but really, you don't know what in the world it is. It could be some kind of creature that's an inmate there. It could be anything. Because it just looks so weird and just deformed and different. And it makes it so creepy that I just want to keep it like that. I gave a little character to the leg, so it looks like it's kind of propping itself up with that leg a little bit. Just because I don't like having the legs just straight out in front of it with props that are sitting down. I usually like to give them a little more character than that. But yeah, this is a terrifying prop. And it is life-sized, of course. Now I'll go over to the progress that was done in the torture chamber. Since the wall was put up, I was able to put the victim chair in its spot. It looks really cool. I love the chains on it. Victim chair looks awesome. There's not going to be a victim in this. In most of the torture devices in the torture chamber, there's going to be a victim. But this one isn't going to have a victim. It's going to be like the victim isn't in it because they're using the other torture devices to torture the victims at the current time. But the victim, this is what would be used if the victim was in that. So I like the victim chair just being a chair that just sits there, because it makes you wonder what type of things they do to the people that are in the victim chair. When you're not seeing it physically, it's a lot creepier to just think, what do they do in this chair? Because it's all beat up. It's got so much different shades of spray paint on it just to make it look like it's been through hell. And then chains that look really cool on there. Over here, the bucket of gore, the basket of gore, this is exactly where it's going to go in the haunt. It's going to go right by this table, because it's supposed to be like they came off of that guy. So this was a previously tortured guy that was tortured, I would say, within the past 10 days of when guests walked through the torture chamber. Because, of course, this torture chamber is supposed to be the torture chamber used by the Army of Fear when they visit Nightmare. So, Wolfie, Penny, Chuckles, Jack, Janice, Jackson, all of them. But, yeah. So, it's supposed to be like, this guy was tortured within the past 10 days, I would say. I spray painted this table. This guy had this prop since 2014. It is my oldest prop I've ever made. This is the first homemade prop I've made. Well, I made some more ones with my mom's help, but this is the first one I made for a haunt. All the others were just made for Halloween displays. This is the first actual prop I made for a haunt. So, he's lasted a while. His paint was definitely starting to chip this year a lot. You could see the great stuff so much. The great stuff, because I obviously used great stuff for all the gore and stuff. So I had to re-spray paint him completely this year, because he's from 2014, and with being used that much and being kept out in a shed and being tossed and thrown about, even though it was like about, how long ago was that? I'm not good at math. 4 years ago. Even though it was 4 years ago, and that's not too long ago, if he's used in a bunch of haunts, he's obviously going to get wore out, especially since he's just a homemade prop. He doesn't have super good quality. It's just a shirt stuffed with newspaper and great stuff and spray paint. So he's not going to have super good quality, but I'm happy that he still lasted and that I've been able to use him in the haunt every year. First year I used him in the insane asylum. Second year I used him in 2015. I don't know where I used him. I don't know if I used him. In 2016 I used him in the die-in. 2017 last year I used him in Rabid Zoo. This year is being used in the torture chamber. So I also put all these ropes on here, and they're not even tied at all. I just strung them under there, and they're very well taut. They're pulled very well taut. I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm so dumb. My English is so bad tonight. But I pulled them very well, so they're not going to go anywhere. Even though they're not tied to anything. I tied it down here. That's not going to keep it in place. The only reason I tied it down there was to make it look more authentic that he is tied down. Because I don't want the rope just hanging down off the table. It'll look like he can easily escape. Because the thing is, the prop isn't going to be able to get out of here unless someone physically pulls it out of here. But if this were a real person, they would clearly be able to get out of these because they're not tight enough to hold it down if a real person was struggling to get out. So if I just had the string hanging down, it would show that they're just wrapped around and there's nothing actually holding him down, which is why I tied it very loosely there just to make it look like he's at least tied down. And so it's cool, and I actually spray painted this whole table just a few minutes ago, actually, because it was originally just him that was spray painted, but I decided to do the whole table just to make it look like there's a lot of blood. I put most of the blood down here since this is the saw table, so I'm not done with this yet, but this is the saw table. I'm going to have a big saw, a big table saw right here, so it will look like a table saw was used, like an electric saw. Like that lowers down and that cuts wood and stuff. It's going to look like that was used to saw him in half. And that is why his guts are hanging out. So, I like that. So the table saw cut that, and we do not know how that happened, but it's quite gory. So I really like this. I love the ropes that I put on him. It really creates a very cool effect. And last but not least is the electric chair, which I showed earlier. It finally got this thing on top of it. It looks super cool. It's not complete. I need a victim to go in there still, and it's going to be a prop. It's not going to be a person, because I've already got the electric chair sound effects that go off in the scene every now and then, so I think I'm just going to... Okay, so my sound effects, I've got screaming, I've got whipping sounds, I've got the soundtrack from Saw playing, since that movie is pretty much all about torture. So I've got that soundtrack plays in here. But it goes with screaming sounds, whipping sounds... It goes with muffled screams, and it goes with a saw sound effect, which is why I put this table. It's supposed to be like the saw, and then there's an electric chair sound effect too. And so this electric chair, I also have a stretcher sound effect, but I'm not going to make a stretcher because that would take way too long. We're just going to have to assume that there's more rooms to the torture chamber and you're only going through the main room. That's just how it's going to have to be. But here is the electric chair, and it looks so cool. Of course, there still needs to be a light up there, and it still needs to be plugged in. I'm probably going to get a flickering bulb, a short circuit bulb to put in there, because I think that would look pretty cool to have a short circuit bulb in there, like it's electrocuting the victim. The victim is going to go in here. It's not going to be a skeleton or anything. It's just going to be a normal dummy, like him, except a full body. It's going to be stuffed with newspaper, because I feel that I don't need to make a whole PVC prop just for this. If you're making a standing prop, you need a PVC prop so it can stand well. But if it's going to be leaning up against the chair, I don't need to make a whole PVC prop. All I've got to do is stuff it with newspaper to give it some meat to it, to make it look more real, and it will stay in place perfectly fine, because it's just going to be sitting down. So I really like this electric chair, and there's even straps on here that my grandma spray painted, and I helped her put them on here. So the restraints, which I really like, they're not very tight, but I mean, they don't need to be, because it's not like we're actually electrocuting someone, or are we? I shouldn't say that. The cops are probably going to show up at my house now. Anyways, that is that. I'm so proud of the torture chamber so far, even though not much has been done with it. It's just been a few of the props put in place. Mac is letting me borrow Executioner again, which is great, because I need him, of course. I borrowed him last year because it was a pirate theme, and Executioners always killed pirates back then. But I need him this year for the torture chamber room, because I don't have any animated props to go in here, and I want at least one. Most of the props are just ones that I'm making, like this, and I think it'll still create a cool effect. I really wish I had Death Row. He would look super cool in that chair. But anyways, right over at the end there is going to be Executioner. So that is that. That is the haunt build for today. Going to be a lot more done tomorrow. So I hope you all enjoyed. Keep howling at the moon, my werewolves.
Hey, come back. You don't play fair and you're making me angry. But maybe if you subscribe to Jaden's videos and join the werewolf army, I'll let you live another day. But it's not guaranteed.